concerned about two new developments coming, one called Riverland, one called Central Park, okay? And how that was going to affect the flooding of the neighborhoods. Okay? This has been an ongoing thing in Charleston. Elevating those developments to the higher neighborhoods, okay? So where I started was I had the all the stormwater applications that were submitted to the city division of stormwater management. Okay, so there's a city and the county divisions of stormwater management. That's why the application submitted to them. Okay, and South Carolina has regulations. Okay, it says that there are certain areas that are so flood prone, they're called special protection areas. And in those special protection areas, the stormwater runoff from those areas cannot exceed the downstream capacity. Okay. Do you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's important because every public official says what I just said is so technical. I can possibly understand.
Well, I understand that, but at certain times, it's going to be different. Like if the river's up a lot higher, then the capacity for the water to flow out is going to be less.
That's right, okay? But that's what the regulation says, okay? You put in a new development in this area, you cannot exceed the downstream capacity, okay? If the downstream areas cannot carry the stormwater off this area, you can't. That's what the regulation says.
It's been
so I could establish that you got flooding in that area from the rain. Okay, so and then the last thing being that the stormwater models were all based upon the assumption the drainage infrastructure was perfect. Okay, but it's shopping carts, vegetation, debris, bodies, a long ways from perfect. Okay, now so that there was no basis for permitting those new developments. Okay. So this was presented in a webinar to the public. Then it was presented. And the response was, oh, this is so technical. You don't understand this, okay? This has to be only the Department of Stormwater, only the Director of Stormwater Management. They did not respond in any way. They did not have to communicate. So then it went round and round. How do we set up a meeting between Emerman and Director of Stormwater Management? Who talks with who, who's calling who, like he's some kind of rock star. Round and round and round. And finally, the mayor, Tecklenburg, he had mayor's night out. Okay? Where you can go and talk to the mayor. Okay, so I met with the mayor. Okay, I said I want to meet with Director of Stormwater Management. Okay? So he set up a meeting. And Director of Stormwater Management, he said this cannot be reported. I said fine. I explained to him how he does not follow the city regulations. All I said was, I see how you could see it that way. End of discussion. Okay? I didn't want the mayor to then tell everyone that we had worked it out, so I wrote a very detailed memo to the mayor explaining letter by letter how they were not complying with the regulations. Okay? Of course, the mayor never complies because nobody ever complies. Basically, the attitude from City Council was that this is all decided by stormwater management. You apply to stormwater management, they check off the boxes, it never comes to City Council. Okay? They said they cannot interfere. They cannot interfere politically. Okay? But my response was, but looking at the other way when they disregard regulations is itself a kind of political interference. Okay? Anyway, stormwater management approves it. Okay. what we say has nothing to do with anything, okay? It then goes on to DHEC, okay? DHEC, oops, we set up a meeting with DHEC. DHEC basically just said that we want to sit in there, okay? And so by DHEC is a there's no point at which they respond to my arguments or the arguments of the community. Okay, they basically just don't respond in any way. Okay, and now there was a number of cases. They spoke to a number of lawyers about bringing a lawsuit against the city or county. A lot of lawyers said we'd take it, we'd love it, we'd win. Okay, they wanted a lot of money for it. Okay, something like 50,000. Okay, I mean, to me, it seemed like that's probably what it's going to cost. They're just being realistic in terms of how much time they're going to put into this. Okay, I was in a flooding case in Gulfport, Mississippi. The lawyer was working pro bono. She was a professor at the University of Mississippi. Man, I sure thought she did $50,000 worth of work. Okay, it's like full time for months for her. Okay, and we still lost. Okay. So, kind of the point being is that there was no point of entry of scientific information. No one's waiting for a report from me. No one's promising to look at a report from me. Okay? So this is what needs to be considered is, but then what do you do with information? Okay? Now, the specific thing I was asked to do here was to evaluate the impact of this new development on two things, on flooding in Island Green and also on the Waccamaw Wildlife Refuge. Okay? And so I will do those calculations, okay? So it's going to change the probability of flooding on Island Green, okay? And significantly change the input of stormwater,
Probably don't want the report because they have to spend money to, to either look at it or do something.
They probably will do nothing.
Right.
Okay, they probably will do nothing. You really have to give information to people who have to respond to it. Okay? Well, I'll just give an example, okay? So I work with a community in Houston, okay, they had an issue where, so they also have fill and build, okay, but it's regular, okay, you can't do fill and build in a 100-year floodplain, okay, but the developer got a revision of the fee, So we got a revision of FEMA map. So what was a 100-year floodplain is revised, so it's not a 100-year floodplain, okay? That revision was based upon fraudulent data, okay? I mean, I examined every bit of it, okay? It was fraudulent, okay? And this was kind of scary because then you wonder, well, how many FEMA flood zone maps are fraudulent, okay? Because you couldn't, any developer can ask for a revision, apply for revision, and usually they get it. Okay.
We just had one done.
Okay. Okay.
This is a floodplain. We got the insurance. Oh, I know. That it's now in the floodplain. But yeah.
Okay. So anyway, Harris County want to make a presentation to Harris County Flood Control District, this and that. Nobody wants to look at it. Nobody cares. Nobody responds. Okay. What they did was they filed a complaint with the Office of the Inspector General of Homeland Security. Okay, because FEMA is part of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Okay, Well, now they have to answer. They have to investigate. Okay, it's not like the county. They can just say, we never asked for a report from you.
Right.
Okay. They actually have quite a long backlog. Okay,
Sure.
they have a backlog. Okay,
Sure they do.
Okay. So because there's so many complaints. Okay, what's it called? A corruption complaint. Okay, so it's a corruption complaint. Okay. Anyway, they've tried a lot to get sort of press involved. Okay, which has been pretty tough. I told them because corruption in local government's not news.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Especially in Houston, it's not news. Okay, but then there's some reporters that talk to me are interested in this concept of widespread corruption of flood zone maps, and I'm not really sure how that's developing. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is kind of the situation everywhere in a community impacted by flooding. Is like no one's waiting for information from consultants engaged by communities.
Did you refine it enough to see if it was builders who were doing this or a specific entity that's doing that?
In Houston?
Anywhere. Houston, we'll take that one. Was it like the builders? Was it the city? Or was it somebody who had...
Okay. Well, it's all of them, okay? Because you have the person who did it and all the people who are complicit, okay? So it's outright fraudulent behavior by the consultants, who are Jones and Carter, okay, just to get that on tape, okay? And the name of the developer, that has slipped my mind, okay? The developers hired Jones and Carter. Okay? The main thing is Harris Management Control District, which is the technical. Okay, they're supposed to look at these applications seriously. Okay, when someone points out to you that parts of this application are fraudulent, okay, it shows a drainage channel that's not there. Okay, it's fraudulent use of the model. Okay, well that's kind of their obligation to examine that and to respond, not to just keep ignoring you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So anyway, this is kind of a situation where this is really no obvious point of entry of community information. Okay. Now the other thing to keep in mind, just to give you something else cheery, okay, is something the social scientists call regulatory capture. Okay, and that occurs when the regulatory agency has been captured by the industry it's supposed to regulate. So it's working on behalf of the industry, not the public. Right, okay. So that is very common in the area of stormwater, planning commissions, stormwater permitting, okay. And so basically the way regulatory capture works is that the agency and the industry aren't different people. They're buddies, okay? Like the regulatory agency hires people from consulting companies, then they go back to work for the consulting companies. Consulting companies love to hire someone from the regulatory agencies.
One washes the other's hands.
Right. So they're a community, and the public, who cares about the public? The public is somebody else.
Right.
Okay, and especially at the local level, this is really nationwide. Is really developers have been very successful at taking over local government. Okay, on the Charleston City Council, I believe at that time every single council member was a developer, and the mayor was a developer. Okay, so that's kind of their community.
Yeah.
Okay.
They run it, no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what chance do we have?
Pretty much nothing.
Well,
Zippity doo dah.
something slightly above zippity doo. Okay. This is where a lot of fog has to come in. Okay. And sometimes it's a case where when the game is right against, you have to think about working outside of the game.
Community activism. Something like
something like that, okay? You could maybe help me with some information. So does the county have a Department of Stormwater Management?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So at some point, a stormwater application, they might have called it Stormwater Pollution Prevention Permit. At some point, that application was made to Stormwater Management, and Stormwater Management approved those plans. Presumably.
I don't know what their procedure is, but I do know that there is a stormwater management program here, and you know, in fact, we're charged so much in our taxes every year for stormwater management.
Okay. Okay. So presumably some plans were submitted.
From here?
Well, for this development.
Yeah, that was years ago, though. That was when it first started.
How long ago?
I don't know. I mean, our what's 18? I don't know how old these places are.
This building was 203 built. No,
Yeah,
there
but it was way before
that.
that they started building here. And I think they had plans for this whole development, what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much the plan they've been going off of ever since.
For out there? Are you talking about out there, or are you talking here?
This whole development.
This whole development.
This one. Actually, we were the last ones to be built here.
Okay.
Up there, and they got this, but I don't know what this piece of property.
Oh. Dr. Emerman, were you talking about out there, or this area here?
Well, whatever Williamson wants to build.
Oh, that's like Trapper Fowler, for instance.
Okay. If we're talking about the same thing, if the stormwater plans are what Trapper Fowler sent us, which I think was on the DHEC website, okay, they are pretty pathetic. Okay. By that I mean that a stormwater application should have drawings there, with the whole justification, how stormwater is going to be managed, what the runoff is going to be, how big the pond should be, what are the calculations, how did you decide the pond should be that size, the stormwater infrastructure should be able to withstand what kind of storm, all that explanation and calculation is not there. It's just drawings. Okay? And that's the main thing, not the drawings, but the explanation. Okay? Does the Department of Stormwater Management of the county expect any explanation? Or just drawings with no explanation, justification, nothing?
Like I told you this morning, I think they just went with what they were told.
Okay, so they got plans, and okay, where do I sign? Okay, I mean, I'd ask all kinds of questions if I was stormwater management and say the stormwater infrastructure is supposed to withstand what rain intensity, what rain event, what return area event. Okay, and explain to me how you know that. Okay, those are the basic questions you would ask.
I might know one problem.
Yeah.
That's possible. A gentleman that lives in the community here who works for the engineer that works for Williamson, he's also on the stormwater board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said about the body system. Yeah.
So that would be.
Well,
Okay.
I'm even by South Carolina standards. That's a pretty serious conflict.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it's a big conflict of interest. I mean, you're working for the Planning and Development Commission, and you're approving plans for people, you know, that you're working for. I mean, that you're getting money from. It's basically like a bribe situation almost.
Well, see, Dawn sent me the link to the plans and asked about, do we want hurricane they keep calling 1,000-year hurricane, I think Joaquin, okay? But it was actually more like a 40-year hurricane, okay? And so a lot of them are just kind of typical events. They're events that happen every few months, okay? And you just constantly say it was a 50-year storm, what can we do? Okay?
Yeah, but with climate change and things, it's going to be more and more of that, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Let me ask something. So, if we would go a few years back, whatever you want, okay? Was it a typical thing for the Waccamaw to back up into this ditch?
Yeah, it was at least once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah, like in the spring mainly. In fact, that I really feel like that's one of the reasons it contributed to the golf course going under, because when it would back up, the golf course would flood and they couldn't even have any play at all. And they were out for like a month or two the last time when it happened. And that was the first time that I had seen it when I lived here. And I was like, I can't believe this. And I kept calling Louie and saying, Louie, you need to go check because something is stopping up the drainage system, because it's not, the water and everything is not draining out, it's coming back in. And he said, no, it's the Waccamaw, it's flooding.
Do we have any recourse about the Waccamaw though? I mean,
What
that's
kind
so
of
far
resource?
away.
I know, but we're like in a swamp area and the creeks that run into that.
Well, that's just contributing more to what we're already getting. But the Waccamaw,
Well,
that's, you know,
it sounds like that's kind of the natural order of things, is the Waccamaw backs up substantially once a year.
we don't get it once a year though.
Well, we have pretty much. Yeah, we pretty much have. Like, and it'll come up pretty high. I mean, I think we got it. I don't know if we got. When was it that the big alligator was out here? That 16-foot alligator that was in the water out here. When it backed, was that like a year or so ago? It was like a year ago.
Around January or January, February. It was last year.
It doesn't enough that I have a lot of pictures of it. I've taken a lot of pictures of it over the years. Each time it does it, and I'll be glad to show them to you. It's on my phone. But what doesn't help is every bit of the area here.
Yeah.
It's a lot higher. They run all their pipes and everything down through us, and all the rainfall from there comes down. It really does get like the Colorado River at times. Swift. Yeah.
Wow.
It's unbelievable swift.
Well, you can see the soil erosion here. This was off about 1.5 foot over, and that's all soil erosion. Now we're afraid the fence is going to go.
Oh, okay.
So that was always the ground was always about
Oh,
1.5
okay.
2 feet more.
Oh. So there's been about 2 feet of embankment gone
Right.
since it was built.
Since it was built, it was built in this place, you know, it was slowly erosion. I think it's slowly eroding now. Even it's down to the concrete posts in the bottom. That's what we were talking about that. You can see it. You can see where the concrete standards are. And it's right on the edge now. If that one falls, the whole fence is going.
Do you
So
know
the-
what the white pipes are that are coming up out of there?
It looks like an air vent for something. Maybe there's pipes.
There's a few of them along the fence, but I don't know what they're.
I wonder if they're surveillance. They can't be because they're too close to, I don't know. Would they be surveillance?
Those white tubes?
Yeah.
They don't look like,
That doesn't look like it to me either.
looks like they're like a monitoring well or something.
I would think an air vent.
I don't know.
I've never seen that one, Dawn. Is there any more?
Yeah, there's, when you walk down, there's a few of them coming up out of the
This is the only one I see. Yeah, this one's got red on it. This one's marked as red. I don't know. I don't know if that's a surveyor or what, but that's. See, the only thing that kept this was the rock. This is only lost there.
Now that big culvert there, that's a lot of
Susan,
water
do you know
that
what
comes
those posts
from
are?
there.
The white posts?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't either.
There's
Nobody knows.
Talking about that earlier. Where does that water come from here?
Over there from the creek.
There's a creek over there?
Yeah, you said it's Peach Creek, I think?
Yeah.
Peach Creek. And it comes from there. Yeah. So, well, I guess, I don't know.
So what
What recourse have we
what
got?
do we have? Do we have any recourse here?
I should have talked to you guys before I bought.
Yeah.
This is scary.
It is.
Well, have you asked the attorney what recourse you have?
No, I think that's the thing. We really need to get a serious group together. And, I mean, Dawn's been pretty much doing all this on her own. But really, canvas people in the... I know that everybody that was at least part of this flood would be very
Concerned.
willing to get involved in this.
I mean, any lawyer will give you a 30-minute consultation for free.
I've talked to lawyers around here and they won't help. Even the group before me that tried to
Yeah.
do anything, no one would help them.
Yeah, but there's been a whole group, Dawn. I mean, people that from this section over in here that went to city council, they all wore green shirts, and the whole audience was nothing but people from here trying to protest this development, and nothing was done. I mean, they packed that place.
Can this area be designated part of the wildlife?
I've already talked to Craig Sasser, and because of the homes in the area, he can't.
Yeah.
If the treetop homes and the condos that are over there at the end of the treetop homes, if they weren't there, maybe he could have done something. But because there are homes inside the Williamson area that he bought,
But those treetops are a lot higher than we are. Doesn't matter. The water's gonna still come here in the treetops, or, it's this way.
yeah.
Well, there's always new attorneys coming on the scene, regardless of who you talk to in the past.
Well, I'm trying to think of his name. He's one of our representatives. He was,
State representative?
he's a state representative, and he helped that development that flooded in Sockasty, that was very much like our situation,
Rosewood.
have the federal government come in and buy everybody out. Yeah.
What was the name?
What am I?
Rosewood.
Rosewood?
Rosewood, yeah. And I think everybody pretty much took that deal because that was like the second time that they had flooded. But
Are they going to build over here?
there's no,
All
because
that
what
will be gone.
happens is it floods from here, it floods down from that area, it starts coming up in the sewer systems. There's no way that we could bridge that off. There's just no way.
But they're going to build over there.
We're planning. We don't know if it's stopped, or we don't know what's gonna be there, because they're slow over there developing it, right? Very slow. I think they're not selling them. And if you're
Well, I
not selling them, the equity is not turning, they can't do this.
I hope.
So that could be their problem now.
well,
and
if it
hopefully-
happens, we're in deep trouble
Yeah,
because
if they build that, all that water's coming right here. They're not gonna put sewers in there. Where are they gonna run them?
this was
They're not going to put in sewers?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is all flooding during Florence, so you can see how bad it was.
Where are these people?
Right here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I'm gonna start running with the cats pretty soon.
I'm into flowers.
Get rid of flowers.
So there's really nothing we can do to see what you think about the other areas. And you're going to go down and see where all the mounds of dirt are all over there.
Dawn, do you have a list of the attorneys that you talked to and what they said?
I'll have to go.
Well, all I mean is that depends on when that was. There could be someone new on the scene since then.
Probably. Sheila Barefoot from A2.
Uh-huh.
She was supposed to be looking into lawyers for us. So, I mean, I haven't heard anything from her in a while about that. I might have to get on her tail.
Well, a lot of people get on her tail, okay? It's a very tough sell, okay? The tough sell is that what they try to do is find a pro bono lawyer, okay? Which is tough to do, and it's mostly that lawyers can only do so much pro bono work. I'm in the same situation, okay? I can do some. I'm pro bono now, okay? I can do some, but at some point someone's got to pay, okay?
Yeah, right. So, sure.
And so usually what lawyers do, or law firms, organizations, is they'll work pro bono, but only for only certain circumstances. Okay, it might be only for low income or minority, or they just have a target group of people. Okay, but even though the money a lawyer can quote might sound is huge, okay, it's kind of like what it actually costs. Okay, if it's 2 months of someone's time.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I understand that. I understand that. It's just what the willingness would be of the people that live in here, and how much money they would be willing to put in to do this, if we even stand a chance. That's the thing. I mean, do we stand a chance of winning anything, even if we get anything?
And what do we win if we win?
Well, no. Okay, so this is part of the trouble. Okay, is that so as part of this case in Gulf, Mississippi, the permit had been issued by Environmental Quality Review Board, so it's a contested case to try to persuade the board to revoke their permit. Of course, the decision had already been made. Okay, that was like a year. Expert witnesses from all over the country. Okay, I was one of them. Okay. At the end of the hearing, someone made a motion, someone seconded it, they took a vote, they voted to not revoke their permit. No discussion, no nothing. No, we did not listen to a word you said. Okay? But it was a step in the process. Okay, but was now that they've asked the permit board to revoke their permit and they said no, well, now they can go to a real court. Okay, so it's just a step in the process. And the lawyer who worked on that pro bono, she said she can do this permit for her, but then someone else is going to have to take over. And then there was someone else to take over. Okay? But anyway, just keep in mind that anyone would give you a consultation. If you just want to know what are your options, what recourse do you have, what are your chances, okay? And a lot of lawyers don't want to take it on unless they think they could win. Something else to keep in mind.
Well, particularly those that are involved with a lot of work from the building community and the development.
Sure, don't fight it. Yeah. but they'll say no.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be somebody that doesn't do a lot of work for them, and around here, that's gonna be hard to find.
Yeah. It doesn't mean there's nobody.
I mean, are there like environmental lawyers or not around here?
I mean, keep in mind that in Charleston, there was a lot of lawyers who wanted to take it on, okay? And a lot of times, I would attend a meeting with a lawyer, okay? And they would say, I'm ready to go, okay? This is what it costs you, okay? This is how much time it's going to take me, and this is what it'll cost you, but they're ready to go, and they think they can win, okay? And I don't know for sure, but I think part of why they thought they could win is there was already a hydrologist who was working for the community, okay? And so I don't have any record of who all those people were, okay? But it might be worthwhile to contact the community in Charleston and ask that question. Okay, who were all those attorneys who were all ready to help you, okay? And it doesn't mean someone from Charleston couldn't do a case here, okay? Or maybe they could recommend someone in here. But there was no shortage of lawyers who wanted to take it on and said they could win.
Maybe we have somebody hidden in one of these homes that is a lawyer that would be interested in that.
It could be. It seems like lawyers can be kind of specialized, okay? But there was a lot of lawyers in Charleston who dealt with property law, not necessarily strictly environmental, but various aspects of property law. There's another term here I'm forgetting, something like that. Do you have any contacts? Or I could provide some for you?
Yeah, I mean, that would be good, and then we can, I think what we need to do is try to get a group together and make some decisions on this. I mean, I can go by myself to see a lawyer, but I mean,
I know Deborah Godman, you'll be talking to her tomorrow down at the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
She was head of the group that tried to stop this last time.
Yeah.
And she tried getting lawyers, so I mean, she might be a good person to talk to.
Well, it's good to build on other people's experiences. So, who did you talk to?
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, it could be that lawyers are saying there's just no way you could win. Okay, in which case they might not want to take on the case. Lawyers hate to lose.
Yeah.
They hate to lose, and they get a reputation as a loser.
well, I think what we need to take to an attorney would be what the impact would be if there is fill dirt put in this area and what it would impact as far as this, because I've got pictures going back. This was like another time in like 2019 where, you know, it's just near flood stage, and that was just a rain. That was just a heavy rain. And hurricanes, I hold my breath every year. We've been lucky the last few years, but you know it's going to get close to flooding every single hurricane.
I wonder if we could ask if they
especially
did build
with
there, if
all
there's liability from them. Can we sue them because we're flooded because of their buildings?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of like, I know that in South Carolina, the government board that issued the permit cannot be held liable. Okay, I know. In this I have it wrong. I
Okay,
just
that's the
remember that
government.
from Charleston.
But how about the
okay?
builder?
Under some circumstances, okay, the defense would be, well, we had a permit. Okay, we did what was permitted. Okay, but we have kind of two separate things here. Okay, if there's actual damages, now lawyers are interested because there's a percentage. Okay, and as commonly lawyers will say is like, I'd love to help you, but we got to wait till there's actual damages. Okay, it's a different matter to block something before damages have occurred. Okay.
Would they be able to go after the Army Corps of Engineers, because they're the one that
over this island, the drainage system is kind of non-existent, okay? In terms of that there is a drainage infrastructure, there are drainage ditches, they are almost universally clogged up, okay? So it rained a lot the day I came. Thursday, hasn't rained since then. Still haven't seen any drainage out of those ditches, okay? So there's really considerable backlog in maintenance with no apparent plan to do any maintenance. Okay. Now, part of why that's important is that usually when a developer is applying for development, they have a stormwater plan. They'll hire a consultant to develop their stormwater plan. Their plan is based upon a model. Okay, the model shows the stormwater infrastructure of their development is supposed to accomplish something, and it's based upon existing infrastructure. They probably assume the existing infrastructure works perfectly, that is, it's in ideal condition.
Right.
Okay, so that's a significant deficiency in any model.
Right.
Okay, but kind of on top of that, I haven't found where is this model anyway. Okay. In looking for a stormwater plan, stormwater pollution prevention plan, something like that, okay, they're typically like several hundred pages,
Wow.
500 pages. Well, because they have drawings,
Very
okay,
detailed,
this
yeah.
is what the stormwater infrastructure is going to look like, but all the calculations that justify that. So the stormwater infrastructure has an objective, okay, so for example, it's supposed to prevent flooding of houses in any storm more rare than a 500-year storm,
Right.
or something like that, or 100-year storm, or something like that. Okay, and where's all the justification, reasoning, calculations that back that up? Okay, all I've ever seen from the developer, which was put up on the DHEC website now, is drawings.
Yeah.
Well, what's the basis for these drawings? If I don't know the basis, what am I supposed to do with these drawings?
Right.
Okay, what's the county council do with these drawings?
They just go, yeah, that's
Okay, okay, probably that's the case, okay? So at least what I've seen thus far is there seems to be very little that's demanded of developers from the regulatory bodies.
Right.
Okay?
I did ask when I first moved here. I went to a meeting and I asked if they did an environmental impact study.
Yes.
I asked the consultant that,
Yeah.
and the environmental guy, he says, I don't care what it is. I'm going to build a house on every fairway here.
Oh, brother.
So the thing is that's what
they're not required,
That's
I
what the
think.
developer wants to do. I don't really understand why an EIS is not required.
I don't know.
I don't understand that. Okay, because I understand there's no federal funding and it's not being built on federal land, but there's considerable potential impact on federal land.
For catastrophic issues with this
Okay,
flooding.
being right on the edge of the Waccamaw Wildlife Refuge,
Yes.
and why they cannot demand an EIS. Well, I think it's worth to keep asking these questions.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not an expert on National Environmental Policy Act, but I don't really understand why. Okay.
I'll ask again.
It's worth to keep asking.
Maybe nobody approached them.
We did.
Yeah.
We asked
They
about
don't
it.
think you're reading.
No, and we also asked about some of the ordinances about different things, and among which was, at that time we were focusing on the only one entrance.
Right.
And there's a statewide ordinance that says you can't do that.
Right.
But they grandfathered it in because in 1980 something he had applied for blah blah blah, but it's not the same plan as it was in 1980 something. So they just allowed it because they're very into development right now, because it's money into the state and into the county and into the townships and things like that. So I did ask. There are ordinances for all kinds of things. I'm sure there are probably ordinances about drainage. I don't know what they are.
Well, I don't know either because I haven't really researched that in this area. Okay, but it could help to I'm very familiar with the Charleston area.
Uh-huh.
I'm working with there for a few years, okay?
Right.
So I can sort of say by analogy,
Right.
is that there's a City of Charleston Stormwater Manual, okay? And there's a Department of Stormwater Management, and that is their job, is to enforce that manual, okay? So there's an organization like yours, very concerned about development on James Island, 2 particular developments, okay? And they wanted to know is how could this be consistent with the stormwater manual? And so I read the plans and I read the manual, and it's not consistent, okay? The manual says that there's certain areas called special protection areas, which already have a history of flooding, okay? If this were in Charleston, this would be called a special protection area, okay? And you had special rules in those areas, and those rules say that for any development, the stormwater drainage off that development cannot exceed the downstream system capacity. Okay?
What does that mean?
Okay, so downstream
That's
of the
very
development,
logic.
you have stormwater infrastructure, and it has the ability to carry away water at a certain rate.
Oh, I see.
Okay? And the new development cannot generate stormwater at a rate that the down system
Cannot
infrastructure
handle it.
cannot handle.
Okay.
Okay? Did that make sense?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did.
Okay. It's very important.
Sometimes just the
wait,
rewording helps me.
wait. It's very important that that made sense.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And it took less than a minute for it to make sense to you.
To
Keep-
us, to South Carolina.
Okay. Well, keep in mind how quickly you picked up that point. Okay? Because I would argue that in the stormwater plan, they never even discussed that subject. There was no discussion of downstream system capacity. Okay? There was no estimate of that. I looked at the history of flooding in the area, and I found that the downstream infrastructure could not accommodate more than half an inch of rain in 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
Okay, which is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing for South Carolina, okay? So that there was really no basis for approving any further development.
Right.
Okay? So I gave a public webinar on this subject. I gave a webinar to city council members who agreed to attend.
Right.
And the response of city council was, who can understand this? This is so technical. We don't get it, okay? This needs to be discussed with the director of stormwater management, okay? And then it went round and round and round and round. Who's going to talk to stormwater management? Who's going to call you? Who's left a call with who? Who's got pull with who? It's like he's some kind of rock star, okay? And of course, if you write to him directly, he just ignores you.
Yes.
Okay? That went on for a couple of months until the mayor of Charleston had mayor's night out, okay? Where anyone could sit down and talk to the mayor for 2 minutes, okay? And so I sat down with the mayor, okay? I said, I want to talk to the director of stormwater management. He said, it's just, you can do it. It's just you, nobody else, okay? And it can't be recorded. I said, fine.
No witnesses.
Okay, so I met with him. I met with Matt Fountain, Director of Stormwater Management. I explained all of this to him. His only response was, I can see how you would see it that way. Okay, he did not in any way try to defend his
Right.
actions. Just, I see how you could see it that way, okay? I didn't want the mayor to tell everyone that Emerman met with Mount Fountain and they worked it all out. So I wrote to the mayor and I spelled it out letter by letter how the system, how the city was not in compliance with its own regulations. Okay, that just went into more rounds of round and round. Okay, basically the city council was saying that we cannot interfere with this politically. Okay, its division of stormwater management goes through a checklist, and if the developer has done everything he's supposed to do, because it's always a guy, okay, then you have to approve the development. Okay, but my standpoint was that looking the other way while a city department flouts city regulations is itself a kind of political interference. Okay, you think any members of the city council are developers?
Probably.
All of them.
Or their cousins
All
are.
of them, including the mayor, okay, are developers, okay? I visited Charleston last October, again had a meeting with members of city council who would meet with me and members of the community group. Same thing, oh, this is so technical, who can understand this, okay? Only director of stormwater management can understand this, okay? And then they kind of attacked us, how come you didn't bring him to this meeting? So, well, he never responds to anything. He's never responded to anybody. He ignores all attempts at communicating with him, but it was kind of like all our fault.
Right.
Okay, so and kind of then from City Department of Stormwater Management, it's approved by the county. Okay, then it goes to DHEC. Okay, approved by DHEC. Okay, and the point here being that there was, even though I had all of these scientific reports and memos, there was no point of entry for that information. There was nobody at governmental level who cared.
Right.
Or was looking for any kind of comments or feedback.
Right.
Okay. I will tell you an exception, just so you can keep it in mind. Okay. The state representative from James Island is Spencer Wetmore. Okay. And she's brand new. She's like 30 or something. Okay. She totally understands stormwater.
Cool.
She's. I heard her at I think a drainage council meeting. Okay. And she has a BA in religion from Princeton University. Okay, I told her all about models and calibration and validation and verification. She's grilling Matt Fountain about his stormwater models.
Okay.
How have you calibrated? How have you validated? How have you verified it? Okay, and this coming back with, well, you got to have faith in the model. Okay, so the engineer is telling the religion major about faith, and she's talking about how have you validated your model.
Right.
So
Faith in whatever.
So
yeah.
it actually was pretty funny, okay? But anyway, so I haven't seen a stormwater manual for Horry County. I don't know for certain that there is one, okay, but probably there is something. It doesn't mean anybody's looking at it. Okay, it doesn't mean county council is really requiring anything of developers. Usually you want to demonstrate something. Will show us a model, prove to us that this will not increase stormwater runoff in a 2-year storm, 10-year storm, etc.
I have a question about that, because just the next area over, Socastee, has had massive flooding. FEMA has come in twice and rescued them, and now they're buying out some of their properties, which is just a song's length away from us. Wouldn't FEMA have said, gee, did anybody look at the storm plan, the stormwater plan, or because they're coughing up the money for this. It's all about money. That's why everybody ignores you, because they don't want to spend any money. So wouldn't they have looked into the area and said, well, where's the storm plan for Horry County? That's still part of Horry County.
You're right. You're right.
But?
Well, no, you're right, and that's actually kind of worth pursuing. Is what was the communication between FEMA and whom, and what investigation did FEMA carry out?
Well, they came into. I know they came into Socastee.
Yeah.
And I mean, the houses were all underwater.
Uh-huh.
They traveled in there by boat.
Yeah.
And I know that I had just seen recently online about the deadline for when they were going to buy out certain homes and whatever.
Yeah.
And there were some issues about it because the value of homes have skyrocketed in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And they were promising them $150,000 for the house and the property, which is now worth $300,000 because of the property issues. So I don't know who you would contact or who would be the person, but somebody in FEMA had to have looked at it, no? For them to approve buying out that property from those people?
I mean, a good way to start would be, where's the FEMA document that approves the buyout? Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how to find it.
Well,
FEMA is after the fact.
I don't bring that
Yeah,
up.
but
They
that
don't
would...
go in to prevent the flood.
No, I know, but the point is that when they agreed to pay for it, they don't want to keep, they know it's going to keep flooding. So they don't want to try and keep paying for these people every time it floods. So they offer to buy out the property. But
then
they
do
had to
what
do
with
some
it?
kind of a study. They want to raise it up so they can build on it more. Which is,
Sorry.
yes, exactly what they said.
okay.
Precisely. But in order for them to do that, wouldn't they have to look at that manual for the rainwater?
I don't know.
It would seem they would.
Well, so a way to start is, isn't there a group called Horry County Rising?
Horry County Rising. Yeah.
Someone named April
Yeah,
O'Leary is the director. Okay. She would be a good place to start. Okay. So I would ask, where's the document where FEMA indicated they were going to buy out the properties? And does that document refer to other documents or studies done by FEMA? Or on what basis did FEMA make that decision? Okay. Now that you brought up the idea of FEMA being after the fact, let me just say a little bit more about the role of FEMA. Okay. And so I'm kind of arguing by analogy with other communities I've worked with. Okay, just because the same things tend to happen over and over again.
Yes.
Okay. So in Houston, I worked with a group called Residents Against Flooding. Okay. Now, their issue is that there was a golf course. Okay, it always starts with a golf course. Okay. Called Pinecrest Golf Course, and that was in a 100-year floodplain. Okay. 900 acres. Now, pretty big size. Okay. Now, so developer buys that golf course, and they don't want it to be in the 100-year floodplain. Okay. Because in Houston, you can't do fill and build in the 100-year floodplain. Now, you can here, but in Houston, it's restricted in some way. Okay. South Carolina is a little special in having unrestricted fill and build. Okay. Some places it's illegal entirely, like in New Jersey,
especially for wetlands and things.
Right. So, but it's in Houston, many places it's regulated in some way. I mean, it could be Harris. I think probably Harris County. Okay. Now, so the developer did not want that area to be in the 100-year floodplain, but it was. Okay. Now, you can apply for a revision of a FEMA map. Okay. So if the developer, because usually it's a developer, okay, if they don't like a FEMA map, they can apply for a revision of the map. Okay. So the developer hires a consulting company. Okay. Consulting company is Jones and Carter. Okay. I say that name as often as possible because I want them to sue me. Okay. Okay. So Jones and Carter. Okay. And I did give once a webinar for communities, and I talked about stormwater consultants, okay, and I listed it. I had like 9 levels, going from clueless to criminal. And when I realized there were 9 levels, I started calling them 9 circles of hell. Okay. And
I remember that webinar.
People call it the 9 circles of hell presentation. Okay. And anyway, Jones and Carter was in the 9th circle of hell. Okay. Now, if you know about the 9 circles of hell, the 9th circle is for traders. Okay. So people who make up data are really traitors to the engineering profession. Okay. So they produced an application that involved fraudulent data. Okay. It was fraudulent use of a computer model, it was fraudulent data. It was arguing a drainage channel existed that did not exist at all. They had water flowing uphill. Okay.
Well, that's interesting.
Why is that interesting?
Because it doesn't naturally flow uphill.
No, but in a computer model, you can force it to go uphill.
Of course you can.
Okay, fine, yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's simply a fictitious computer model.
Yes.
So that model put that area out of the 100-year floodplain because it forced the water to go someplace else on a 100-year flood. Okay?
It can't go.
Right, okay. Harris County Flood Control District, which is a FEMA technical partner. Okay, so it means they're empowered to do FEMA activities in that area. Okay, they said, well, it looks good to us. Okay, so they approved that, and developer is issued. Well, FEMA issues a map revision. Map revision. Okay, and they can go about their business and build their development.
So FEMA doesn't do their own investigation.
So they have a local technical partner, which basically is empowered to do their job. Okay, I guess FEMA has ultimate responsibility, but it still would have to exercise that responsibility. Okay, and now, so the local group, actually they were pretty savvy. They had a PowerPoint presentation. They kept trying to show it to Harris County Council, Harris County Flood Control District. district. No one wanted to listen to them. No one would answer them, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And then they got in touch with me, and they basically wanted just me to verify that they had done their analysis correctly. They charged the Harris County Flood Control District with corruption, and they issued a formal complaint to Homeland Security because FEMA was part of Homeland Security. Okay? So that went to the Office of the Inspector General of Homeland Security, okay, who has not yet acted on it. I mean, they've acknowledged it, but they actually have a huge backlog of corruption charges, okay? It's a scary situation because then you wonder if you found one fraudulent FEMA map, well, then how many are fraudulent?
Right.
Are they all fraudulent? Okay, that kind of makes you wonder. Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people who are smart, like her and her brother, they look at those FEMA maps, decide where they want to live.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we did that. We did some research, and we were near a floodplain.
Even though we were on the water.
On the pond here.
We were
now
near
we are.
it. It was down below the other bridge.
Yeah,
That's
but now
where
it's
it
moved
is.
up.
Oh, now it's getting close to my house because they reevaluated it after the
Another
whole storm.
point I have to ask this question. Where does all this discussion and information and so on go?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. He's given some
But
names
if
and some.
if he gives us the directions and so on, this is water over the dam. Nobody's going to stop Oregon County councilman from doing any of this stuff because they say dollars in front of their.
Yeah, that's why it's such an uphill battle.
And
But if you're
what
noisy-
organization is going to sue them or do anything about it? Are we here? I don't think so.
Yeah.
We've been here 29 years, and we've seen the golf course and the development and everything else take place, and people are concerned with what.
But they only fought so far, and a lot of things happen. It's a terrible thing, but it's reality. Everybody wants to know, well, how does it affect me? How does it affect me? Even in this community here. So when they went to the county when the planning board was approving this again, about the one entrance,
Right.
if it didn't affect them in particular, people who lived close to the exit were like, well, we seem to get in and out okay. So the poor slob that lives back there can't get out that exit if that exit's blocked.
What about out there when that happens?
Well, that's exactly it.
Same thing. They can't go through somebody's backyard over there.
Right, that's exactly the point. But the only people who weren't, once the county said, no, we're going to put it through, they stopped fighting.
90% of the people that live here now will be living here after all this is developed don't give one Hoosiers damn. They don't.
That can be the problem a
And
lot of
that's
times. But they don't realize
I'm sorry to say that, but
they don't realize what's at stake because they're only focused on their little circle.
Well, part of it is they've not been
that's-
told and they've been lied to. I can tell you that they've been told there's going to be a amenity center and swimming pools.
Oh,
With this
really?
new
In
development.
This new development?
Correct.
Yeah, there is not.
That is not. They've been told
But
that.
that's what they've been
so
told.
who knows what we were lied to when we bought here.
We
So
were
who
told
knows what these people are being told.
we were told that whole back part where all those new houses are
Yeah.
was part of the preserve.
And they couldn't build there.
Okay, so we have these big woods across the street from us. We're thinking, this is great.
Yeah.
And then they come in and
Do you
plow
live
them all
back
down.
there?
We do.
Yeah, we live on
We
the
live
lawn.
on
It's the one
blue
with the
house
solar energy on the
panels.
roof.
We live there.
So
they tell you only thing that they can sell you the property.
right, and we did some investigating. Is there a refuge there? Is it whatever? Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's there. It's a wonderful place. Blah blah blah. It's like good. We didn't say, gee, are they lying about where the line is? Which I guess we should have.
If you go way back in there, I remember going back in there to play golf way back. Where the last house is being built back there, and it looks
Yes.
like it's going to drop off.
Yes.
Down that was a fairway.
Yes.
Several holes on it. There were signs marked there, refuge.
Yes.
That's where we were yesterday, Dr. Emerman. I took him there yesterday.
That's been there for So ever since
Right
we've
back
been here.
back
Yeah, but
there is where
so-
Peach Creek comes into Island
Right.
Green.
Correct. So the question
Now-
is, how is all of this building going to impact that? And that's what we're trying to figure out.
That's actually the easy question.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'll be okay.
that's strictly a hydrologic question. Okay,
Okay.
so that's my specialty. Okay, I forgot your name, Bill.
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 Okay, Bill is emphasizing the more difficult question. Okay,
Yes.
is what do you do with that information?
Correct. That's
Oh,
where I
okay.
was going to go with at a
Okay,
later
because
point. but
basically
yes.
you already know the answer to the question. There will be significant impact.
Yes.
Okay, you just haven't had my justification yet.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure you've yet explored all possible options. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm just giving you some things to think about. Okay? The first is keep in mind that any lawyer is going to give you a 30-minute free consultation. It's kind of a standard practice. Okay? What's that?
Free.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, free. Okay, it's a standard practice, and there's not really many environmental lawyers, but this kind of thing is more like along the lines of construction law, property law, permitting regulations, etc. Okay, and there's a lot of lawyers who work in this area of property law. Okay. Now, in Charleston, the organization was looking at law firms, okay? And so they would bring me to the meeting, okay? Part of bringing me to the meeting was showing the law firm that we have a hydrologist working with us who knows what he's talking about and who can establish what the impact is going to be and so on, okay? There were many lawyers who were willing to take on the case, who said they could win.
But
Well.
Oh,
Okay. They said I could take on this case. The city is not following its regulations. Okay. There's many examples of this. Okay. This guy Emerman knows what he's talking about. He's going to sound very good in court. Okay. They're all ready to go. Okay. But the truth is that it's expensive.
yes.
Oh, okay. And that most lawyers were talking about, I need retainer to get started. Maybe I need $5,000 to get started. Okay, it's going to be about a $50,000 case. Things like that. Okay, some said less. Okay, but something like that. Okay. My kind of response was, it seemed about right to me, because it's a lot of work for the lawyer. Okay. I was part of a court case in Gulfport, Mississippi, where it was just asking the Environmental Quality Board to revoke a permit, to reverse a decision. We had a pro bono lawyer from University of Mississippi. Man, she worked. Okay, this is probably like 2 months full time or something. Wow. I mean, because her area wasn't hydrology, so I'd explain everything to her. Okay, but she caught on. We had expert witnesses from around the country. Okay, we lost that. Okay, but it's just a step in the process. Okay, well now you have to go to the next level of court. Okay, and then when she said that's all I can handle, but then another lawyer took it on. Okay, so it's still in process. But it's kind of like what it costs, okay? Now, Don works with Anthropocene Alliance, and they have connections with American Bar Association, that has some agreement about providing pro bono legal work, okay? It just something to keep in mind is that law firms can only do so much pro bono work.
Right.
Okay, I'm in the same situation. Okay, I'm working for your group pro bono. Okay, but you can only do so. At some point, it just becomes non-sustainable.
Right.
Okay, that's just how it is. Okay, so that most law firms or lawyers have certain criteria. I'll do pro bono work for these kinds of communities. Maybe it's Native American, or it's African American, or it's below some income level, or something. It could be all kinds of things,
Right.
okay? But they're kind of restricting who they'll do pro bono work for, okay? Or sometimes they'll have something in between. They'll call it friends and family rate or something, okay? It seems Anthropocene Alliance working through American Bar Association is a long process that might not go anywhere, okay?
The paperwork is working though. It's
In progress.
yes, yes.
I'm not exactly sure why, but it seems to be a very long, slow process. Okay. And anyway, this is kind of way of saying is that there were a lot of lawyers who wanted to take it on who said they could win. Okay.
It all comes down to money.
Well,
And who's got the deepest pockets.
Should we tell them who gave us an Uber ride today? If that helps.
we
in any way?
could. We could. Okay. Actually, just to be factually correct, it was Lyft. Okay. So call Lyft. Lyft driver, when he gets to Island Green, he starts talking about roads. He starts talking about the drainage. He's talking about the development. He's talking about the swamp. Okay, well, it used to be a swamp. Okay. Typical taxi driver talk. Okay, I tell him, well, that's what I'm here for. I'm working for this group Saving Island Green. Okay, it turns out he's running for Congress. Okay, on an anti-development, improve the drainage platform. Okay. I said, well,
Meant to be.
I said, well, that's interesting. We're on our way to pick up the director of Saving Island Green, and you two should meet each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got all his contact info.
I do. I mean, he has a website and an email.
How old is he?
Something like my age. I'm
Here's his
65.
picture.
Okay, so something like 60s. Okay.
Okay.
I think Larry Guy or Lori Guy.
Hammond. Okay, I'm certainly not endorsing him. I'm not endorsing him.
It's a contact.
I'm not de-endorsing him. It's just good to talk, network.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we sit down if we're going to be going for a while here? Or?
We can sit on the thing.
Development on the refuge in terms of quality and quantity of storm water. So any particular concerns you want to point out to me, I'm all about it. You could be looking at considerable stormwater.
Oh yeah, it's a really big issue.
But I'll try to quantify that.
Yeah.
When did this become a national wildlife refuge?
1997. That was coming up on 25.
Put that in your life jacket pocket. Let's pick up that.
Yeah, can you put it in your life jacket pocket?
Like here?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any audio, that might be good to capture.
Yeah, any good hot mic moments.
Yeah. I promise I won't make y'all look bad.
It's all unscripted.
Yeah, so what was it before it was a wildlife refuge?
It was mostly private land, but a lot of it was done by timber companies like International Paper, Georgia Pacific. A lot of it has been cut over in the past 100 years, but not very recently. So we've got some older road cars here. An agreement was reached to set it up as a mitigation bank for some highway projects, and the private landowners sold it to South Carolina DOT. And in the midst of all that, the refuge was expanded beyond, initially it was called, the proposal was Sandy Island Refuge, but it was changed to Waccamaw, and the scope of the project was expanded to include forested wetlands, tidal wetlands, a lot of different habitats that really make up the diversity of this watershed, and included Sandy Island. So we did a 2.5-year environmental impact statement, and here we are, almost, this December will be 25 years later, and we've grown the refuge to about 38,000 acres.
I see. So it was an act of Congress?
No, it was an act of the Fish and Wildlife Service. A lot of the older refuges were established under presidential proclamation or a variety of other tools, but this was actually approved and created through the regional director.
I see. Who's your congressman?
Scott, Tim Scott.
Tim Scott. I see. Did you get support from him?
I haven't interacted directly with Tim Scott's office, but you know, I think in theory he can support, but I haven't.
I've never really understood why no EIS is necessary.
Well, they have to. The EIS depends on the regulatory branch of the Corps of Engineers decide that. I mean, there's so much of this going on. This is one of the fastest growing places in the country.
Yeah.
And so, unless there's an endangered species or there's something of extreme concern, and even then, if they do the EIS and they show that they're going to take care of that. I mean, for example, we were talking about Sandy Island had the previous owners done an EIS and said, we're going to take care of red cockade.
You have to consider it.
It is.
You can say, here's the impact, and we're fine with it.
Exactly.
I see.
Look at all the alternatives.
Ah, this is so beautiful here. What kind of law enforcement do you need to do?
I have a pretty big hunting and fishing program on the refuge. So that seasonally, that's one of the things. But really, a lot of the biggest issues are that we have some places like the south end of Sandy Island where hundreds of people park their boats every Saturday and Sunday and beyond. And we have opportunity managers that we have to deal with. But we're saying it's about probably, yeah, okay, probably about 10 miles.
I see. That's an island in the middle of the river?
Yeah.
So is that the water line from Hurricane Island?
It is, up in Florida.
So it's fine.
It is. I haven't been in here in a long time, so we may have to kind of bump and go.
Already doing the right thing. Let me just get my camera.
Experimenting.
How you like it?
It's fun.
Watch out for the gators.
can get where they hang out in those things.
I hope we find some movies.
Oh yeah, go to the back. Back.
This guy's putting a bigger weight than these two. One left the wave coming. Well, Mark's ain't got no fear of nothing, does he? The camera in there, spread eagle, probably sitting wrong in the booth.